To start off my army list today, we have an Autarch leading a squad of Shining Spears. Everyone has lances. The Exarch has the Star Lance in both upgrades. And the Autarch, of course, has a Reaper Launcher and Manda Blasters. One of my two troops units are the Pathfinders. There are 7. I also have a Farseer who is leading a 10-man squad of Guardian jet bikes that includes a Warlock with Conceal. Farseer, of course, has Fortune, and there are 3 Shuriken cannons in the squad. I have a single squadron of Vipers, both armed with Eldar missile launchers. Rounding out fast attack is my Nightwing. Lastly, for the first time, I'm trying out my Phoenix Bomber. This is a conversion that I just recently completed, and I'm trying out for the first time. So, hopefully all goes well.
That's my command squad with Creed, a medic, a Vox, couple plasma guns, an Astropath, 2 bodyguards, and a Chimera with extra armor. My first troops choice is a platoon A, we'll call it. Command squad with a power weapon and 2 flamers and a Vox, and close combat weapons all in. They're mounted in a Chimera that actually does have a multi-laser despite all appearances. Both squads are the same, Vox, autocannon, grenade launcher, and they're backed up by a mortar squad and a missile launcher squad. The second troops choice is a platoon led by Captain Alrahem, who looks suspiciously like Colonel Schaefer there, but that's, he's got a new look going.
Just like your opinion, man.
Yeah, he's got a Voxcaster and a Meltagun, and both of his squads and his platoon have Meltaguns and Voxcasters, and their sergeants have power weapons. The fast attack is the old Hellhound, the workhorse. For heavy support, we've got Lehman Russ with a bunch of heavy bolters and extra armor, and a Basilisk with camo netting.
We're using the Battle Missions book today, and we rolled up a preemptive strike for the Eldar, going after the HQ of the Imperial Guard. And this is our deployment from behind the lines of the Imperial Guard. Here in this second Chimera is Creed, hiding with his buddies because they give up 3 kill points. And then we have a large platoon in the back here.
Him because I'm not allowed to go in reserve.
And I do not give up the first turn. I maintain the initiative. In what was one of the worst turns I've had in a long time, I managed to essentially redeploy my entire force. And the Nightwing managed to shake that Chimera over there. My Vipers both missed. And with the combined shooting of my jet bikes and the Phoenix, I managed to knock the cannon off of the Hellhound. Other than that, I really didn't do anything else except redeploy. So Kevin gets a chance to really capitalize on what was a horrible turn.
For my turn, the Hellhound fired at its heavy bolter to no effect because it shot at the Shining Spears. The Basilisk managed to kill 1 jet bike. The Lehman Russ missed completely with the battle cannon, but its heavy bolters brought down 1 more jet bike. The multi-laser, I think it fired, it may not have, but it didn't do anything either way. These guys managed to bring down the Nightwing solidly. Creed is still just barking orders, hiding in his Chimera that's shaken at the moment. The missile launchers brought down, they took a missile launcher off of one of the Vipers and shook the other one so it can't shoot. The mortars probably having a snack or something, and Alrahem's platoon is just running as fast as they can.
Well, my shooting was pretty awful. I did manage to take the lead against
Your shooting
Kevin.
wasn't that awful. There's nothing here anymore.
Look at that. The jet bikes here managed to get into combat with the Lehman Russ and blow it up. My Shining Spears managed to get in combat with the Hellhound and blow it up. Um, my snipers did nothing. The Phoenix actually managed to kill off a platoon that had been right here, which Kevin was referring to earlier. They did 10 wounds.
Yes.
And the unit broke and ran off the board. My Vipers just sort of moved over here to hide because they got scared. And that's it. We're on to Kev's turn 2.
So the bottom of 2, I've been completely outflanked. My only chance is to just consolidate into this quarter and wait for the shit to hit the fan. This platoon is just sort of trying to dig in down here as all of command falls back to it. The Basilisk is totally helpless, but it did manage to take out 2 bikes. And one of these rockets took out a bike also. But there's just, there's not a lot of Eldar left on the table, but what they're capable of is pretty damn impressive.
For this turn, my jet bikes with Warlock and Farseer managed to roll pretty poorly against the Basilisk in that I rolled an immobilized and then everything else was a 1 or a 2, so I didn't actually destroy it. Other than that, I did have some better luck. Over here, my Phoenix managed to blast the bejesus out of this unit, doing a whole lot of wounds. They passed their break test, they didn't get pinned, but I really thinned out that
I didn't even
squad
take the
quite a
break
bit.
test for them.
Yeah, you did.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And then you can see I've just been working on, yet again, redeploying. And my Vipers managed to
No, your
shake.
Rangers
No,
did.
no, my Vipers shook it, so it couldn't shoot. And then my Rangers, on a series of absurd rolls, managed to actually immobilize it, thanks to their little AP1 buff from their Ranger rifle roll and a rending roll.
This turn, this squad just dispersed its formation for the incoming doomstorm from the Phoenix. The command squad is just running up to cover there. The missile launchers fired at the jet bikes in Creed's order, and nothing happened. So now it's Dan's 4th turn.
For the top of turn 4, I managed to blow up the Basilisk this time. The Vipers, although only one could shoot, and the Rangers managed to do nothing to this Chimera, so it's just sitting there.
It can actually shoot this turn.
Yes, it can. Back here, I managed to take out the heavy weapons squad and one of the mortar guys. They pinned their test, and otherwise I just moved things a little bit, spread out my guys a bunch, and tried to prioritize my targets.
Remnants of the platoon have just lost it and are now charging blindly across the battlefield to try, I don't know, and do something besides just sit still and get destroyed by the Phoenix bomber all game. The mortars managed to shoot and caused 1 wound, which was saved against the Shining Spears. Both Chimeras fired at the Phoenix and managed to immobilize it. And that's it.
For this turn, I managed to move my jet bikes in a bit closer. I shook the Chimera that's immobilized there. The unit that had been here got wiped out by the Phoenix, and the Shining Spears moved in with the Bautark, and I rolled really awful for the wounds. I managed to leave the Al Rahim totally undamaged standing there. I did wipe out everyone else he was with, and then Kevin missed all 3 times. And now we go into Kevin's turn 5.
Alright, bottom of turn 5. The mortars lobbed over some death at the Farseer's bike squad and didn't do anything. Creed's Chimera finally popped the Phoenix. too late after everything on the friggin' board was wiped out by it. Al Rahem finally succumbed to the Shining Spears. The command squad inside of this immobilized Shook Chimera disembarked and, under Creed's honor, for the honor of Cadia order, charged into combat here and lost. But they're fearless, so they hung around. And that's it. Let's see if the game ends on a 1, 2.
1 or a 2.
A 1 or a 2. That's a 3.
For the top of 6, I managed to whittle down that unit to just one guy. I took 1 wound in response on the Farseer from a power weapon. I managed to blow up the command chimera that was there, and then the Shining Spears vaporized Creed and his escort. And the Viper managed to do a wound to the mortars, and they got pinned.
I think we can call it here.
I think so too. Okay.
Yeah, I pretty much was screwed right from the start because the mission we played, prevented me from putting anything in reserve, which was the whole idea behind the list that I made. I had an astropath and a special character that could outflank, and I could re-roll it if he screwed up the outflank. And I could bring stuff on piecemeal rather than just let the Eldar, Airforce just destroy at their leisure everything in front of them. Because the way it was, I was just set up, and with such a large army, it's completely across the deployment zone, and yours is such a small army, and it's so fast, you just swooped clean around and just completely turned the flank. Which, was exactly what you should have done. Well done, Fable, but it's not how this army was supposed to have been attacked. But I guess that was the whole point of this special Eldar mission, just get them with their pants down. And you certainly did. Because your army list, we both agreed, was probably not terribly effective when facing Imperial Guard. But because of the scenario we did, it was extremely effective. Well done.
My army, I was not expecting to fare well at all. We rolled up the battle missions for a change, and we got a mission that favored me a lot, especially with this army list. Kevin had all his infantry on one side, and he had a cluster of 2 kill point units over on my right flank, and I just moved my whole army, just shifted them all, redeployed for my first turn, and then went hard after those to get a sort of large lead and take half of his army out of the battle. And then he castled up, which was the best move he could make at that point after I'd kind of already done the damage. I'm putting my unit of the match as the Phoenix because I just stayed back and kept it at range, and against Imperial Guard with the Nightfire missiles, you're firing 6 of those things a turn. You're able to do some damage, especially if he has to castle up and he doesn't have infantry in transports, which at that point he had large infantry blobs that he was planning on bringing on as reserves, and unfortunately for him, the rules didn't allow him to do it, so they were just sort of sitting ducks once I took out his ordnance support. And the jet bikes were once again a pain for Kev. He probably hates them more than any of my other units. And the Vipers didn't do much, but they did just enough. They were probably annoying. Is that right? Okay.
Not really.
All right. So
in the face of the Phoenix, everything else on the field was just, it was like my whole army versus this super unit.
Yeah. And my Rangers managed to immobilize a Chimera, which is still really funny to me. They really had nothing else to shoot at, so I was just kind of goofing around and, rolled well enough to do something. And the Shining Spears, while generally considered overkill against Imperial Guard, their speed, and then the fact that in the end they were able to take out Creed's unit because he had Feel No Pain, and I was hitting the Strength 6 power weapons. And had I not done that, I probably would have been bogged down with that unit for a long time in combat. He had a lot of guys, and he could put up a heck of a fight and be tough to kill. So that's it. Good game.